And welcome back to RealAg Radio here on this Wednesday afternoon. It's time for this week's edition of Rocky Talk, brought to you by Rocky Mountain Equipment. Spraying season has arrived in many areas, and with spraying, when it's time to go, it's time to go. And so we're going to get some tips on servicing and prepping your sprayer. Joining us on the phone this afternoon, we're pleased to have Joel Hoehn, Service Manager with Rocky Mountain. And before we talk sprayer maintenance, Joel, how's spring unfolding in the service department at Rocky?
Well, it's actually been a fairly decent year with service in Rocky. It's been a very good year, to be honest truth.
I guess with dry conditions, you don't have to worry about stuff getting stuck in the mud and all the pain that comes with that.
Yeah, no, this year's been a little drier than most, we'll give you that. But in saying that, it helps our producers get it in a little quicker. So some rains moved across the region, so we'll take that. And, we'll always ask for a little bit more, I guess.
Yeah. Well, getting to our topic today, and that is in-season maintenance when it comes to spraying. I guess greasing, of course, is the obvious task that we need to be looking after right now. What do you recommend for producers when it comes to in-season maintenance?
Well, greasing is a good one, you guys. Honestly, as a service manager and a mechanic in the past, I can tell you that a grease gun, if you could take a grease gun and pump out $100 bill every time you squeeze the trigger, that's probably what you're doing. You're saving yourself $100. Greasing is so critical to these machines. Any place that they pivot, bounce, or move, if it's a bushing, on the suspension, steering, it's incredibly efficient way of lubricating these things. You can over-grease certain areas on a sprayer, but it's for the most part giving those suspension knuckles a good shot every morning, making sure those booms are nice and greased up every day. Is a huge benefit to those machines. You can always tell a good machine, and if I would ever take one on trade, I would always look to see that there's buildup of greasy dirt around those knuckles. That tells you that somebody actually cared about that machine.
What about the tank itself on the sprayer and flushing out the tank? What do you recommend there?
You betcha. So if you are switching products, it's very, very important that you flush your tanks effectively. If you're going from a liquid fertilizer to a herbicide or insecticide, some of these materials are reactive to each other or create a chemical reaction that can actually harm your crop or do significant damage to your crop, limiting your yield. So you want to make sure that those machines are flushed out a couple times good with water. Make sure you run the sparge. Make sure you blow the lines out, flush them. Even I would recommend so far as opening the end of your boom valves, the big 1-inch valves, and blowing a lot of volume through that machine, and then running it through water before applying the new product.
You mentioned liquid fertilizer. Any tips for keeping the machine clean during top dressing and preventing that corrosion that can happen?
You betcha. So anytime you run a fertilizer product through the machine, fertilizer is a corrosive substance, as we all know. A good rule of thumb, though, is if you are top dressing, I know time is tight, but running a pressure washer up and down the booms or a hot large volume water hose to rinse those booms off, once a week will prevent a lot of corrosion and a lot of stickiness from adhering to the booms. It'll in the long run, it'll make it a lot easier to clean, and the machine will look good and perform well with no over corrosive residue on the booms.
Yeah. I guess basic engine maintenance, that goes without saying when it comes to checking filters, changing filters, and all of that too.
You betcha. On our machines, absolutely. Engine oil filters, engine oil levels, hydraulic levels. A big maintenance component on a sprayer is keeping that rad clean. In fact, Rocky has been installing a lot of reversible fans on our case sprayers, and what that does is as you're running in the field, the debris is kicked up by the tire, and it's sucked over the rad, blocking off the radiator pre-stream, reducing airflow, causing heating issues, right? So what this fan does is we actually have the fan running in during the machine running down the field. The blades actually rotate 180 degrees and reverse the fan volume out of the machine, blowing all the debris clear of the rad. The fan then flips back to normal operating position, and you never leave the seat, and you never stop for 1 minute of maintenance on that.
And that's all on a timer?
That's all on a timer, you betcha. It'll do it every 15 minutes. It might do it every 20 minutes, depending on how you set it up and what your conditions are.
All right. Finally then, Joel, if you could give one piece of advice or highlight one thing that you find is a common thing we forget or could do better when it comes to sprayer maintenance, anything?
Honestly, man, yes, grease it. Grease it. That's all I can say about that. You keep them greased, and they'll keep on rolling for you.
All right. Thanks for your time again, Joel.
All right. Thank you very much.
That's Joel Hoehn, Service Manager with Rocky Mountain Equipment, highlighting some good tips, some good advice for in-season maintenance when it comes to taking care of your sprayer. You can find out more info at rockymtn.com, or, of course, visit your local Rocky Mountain Equipment dealer. RealAg Radio resumes right after this.